When an ad account isn't performing, there's like 100 things you can basically look at, and it's super confusing. But after being in enough Pinterest ads accounts, I see that it's usually one of the three things that is actually underperforming or failing the Pinterest ads. And it's almost never what the brand owner fixes first. So let's break this down so you're not going to make any of these mistakes. The first thing is that I very often see is that people have one campaign and then they have a couple of ad groups underneath it, but there's like so many different things, like a ton of interest, a ton of different keywords, and it's all not kind of like clustered together in themes. And then on top of that, there's no ad budget that is going to cover this at all. So all of the different keywords and the different interests and the different creatives are not going to get enough money to basically test and see what is actually working. So how to easily fix that is to basically like kind of cut down on things. So if you want to be highly specific, pick keywords, because then you don't need the interest anymore, and you can pick a kind of like broad keyword, or you can pick some broad keywords or pick some really highly specific keywords if your budget is a little lower, so you actually get the chance to show up. If you're not really sure about the keywords, you can pick an interest, but make sure if you're not clicking like women's fashion, because that is so broad that you're never going to get the chance to compete with all those bigger brands that already have a ton of purchase data and already are highly optimized on their Pinterest ads. So make sure that your when you're starting off, your ad groups aren't too big. Start small, start very specific, start with very specific interest or start with very specific keywords, and then from there build on top of it. And in that way, you really get the chance to give Pinterest some data and to gather some data of what is actually working. And also, it gives you a very good understanding of what is actually working. So, that is a very easy fix for a problem I see very often. But even the perfect structure is not going to save a bad creative. And this is what's actually going to make a Pinterest ad creative bad. The first thing I see is that people are, just like I talked about in the previous video, basically repurposing their best performance from Meta ads straight into Pinterest. And it's just not working because Pinterest is such a different platform. You don't want to target those people who are looking for influencer tips, or UGC content is just not the same kind of content. People on Pinterest, because people on Pinterest are doing a search on Pinterest and they're looking for how will this fit into my life. They're not doom scrolling the same way they are doing on Instagram or Facebook. They're way more like, of course, they're also doom scrolling, but they're always in that like mindset of how does this fit into my life, how does this make my life better, or how does this apply to me. So it's very like self-oriented, and that's why you want to create a different Pinterest or different creative for your pins, and you want to be really heavily product focused. So make sure that your pin is really clearly showing that you are targeting people who want to purchase that product. And it's really clear that when they're clicking on that pin, they're going to land on the product page. And by creating these kind of pins that are really product centered, that could either be like a very aesthetic pin that is just an image of how you're using the backpack with a certain code, or how the backpack looks from the inside, or it could be a video that is showing all the features of the backpack. Sure, but the backpack has to be the center and not the person who's wearing the backpack, because people aren't interested in that person. They're thinking of how will that backpack look for me and how will it fit all the stuff that I have. And the third thing that most people think will save them, but is actually going to really kill your budget, is that people are using Performance Plus way too early. And I'm not talking about using the features like Performance Plus bidding, but I'm talking about like the whole Performance Plus campaign, where you're basically just only adding creatives and let Pinterest do all the targeting. I know that it sounds way easier, and Pinterest is really, really pushing it. And yeah, I've seen it working really well for some brands. And I've also seen it really bomb for some brands that like for the brands that I've been working with, like my clients, and I'm seeing what happens behind the scenes. I can see all the numbers. And you know what? The brands that it works for perfectly are the ones that already have gathered like tons and tons and tons of purchase data on Pinterest. So not on Meta, not on Google Ads, but on Pinterest itself. And Pinterest already knows so very well who to target. So, and basically I already know for these clients what kind of ads I have to create to really get a purchase from their customers because I already know their Pinterest behavior. But if you don't have that data yet, if your pixel isn't there yet, if you don't really know yet what kind of pins are or what type of pins are really performing. So I have a client where the static pins always outperform the video pins. So we're no longer doing any videos for ads and the ROAS is really good, but it's very much like it feels off, because overall, like videos perform very well because they catch the attention. On the other hand, if I already know that, and if I would have told like Performance Plus, like, here you go, here's a video pin, and just give it to the algorithm basically, I have given an ad creative that is not going to convert to teach the algorithm to find my purchase that the people want to purchase. So this is really important to keep in mind. If you're using Performance Plus, you really want to make sure you already have that Pinterest purchase data and you already know what kind of ad creatives convert, because then you have that basis. And sure, on top of that, you want to keep creating new type of content or new type of pins to test and see, okay, what if I do a slightly different angle? What if I do a features around the product, or the product from the inside, or a review with like a big text with 5 stars and the product? I'm just thinking out loud here. But it's about the idea of, okay, you want to create some different angles as well. And sure, that is great, but on the basis, you want to know what's already working. So you're getting those sales. And then on top of that, you want to start testing. You don't want to start testing from the beginning if you don't have to. And Performance Plus works exceptionally well in those cases. And if you know, okay, I want to be using Performance Plus in the future, sure, you can, but then first feed that data to Pinterest. So set up campaigns that are really, really targeted on the people who are doing searches on Pinterest. And you're going to be targeting those people who are already using the search bar, who are very likely to do a purchase. And then create some different ad creatives and see which type of ad creatives convert. See which type of searches convert the best. And then go all in on those based on this data and build up your purchase history basically and all the data, and then set up a Performance Plus campaign. And then you'll be like, Performance Plus is going to take care of so much things for you, but you're just going to have to keep feeding it data to really keep on track of, okay, who is actually doing the sales and what kind of creatives are really working with my type of audience. And I don't like to give that to Pinterest because basically I want to keep that feel of understanding what is working so I can create more of what's already working. And I want to understand why it's working. So with what kind of search. But of course, that's a preference. I like marketing and I'm really into it, of course. So, but that's what I see very often. And if you don't have the data yet, just wait and don't give all the budget to Pinterest to test, because it's going to waste your budget and you're going to feel really deflated. And because the breakdown isn't very granular yet, you also don't know why it fell flat. So it's really hard to start with Performance Plus, even though they're really pushing it. But maybe in the future it will be good enough to start with Performance Plus as well. It's just not there yet. If you want to know exactly what of the three things is happening in your account, I built like a free quiz thingy where you just have to answer a couple of questions, and then it will spit out what the problem is with what kind of fix. And it's, at least for now, it's really free and you can just use it. I really hope it helps so you can get your Pinterest ads performing again. In the last video, we're going to talk about whether to understand whether your ads are actually working, and a little bit about the attribution of Pinterest and how to actually read it when you're using ads on multiple platforms. So I'll see you in the next video. And in the meantime, good luck with the tool and see if you can fix your ads.